Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45. Today we have Rohan in the building. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Man, good. I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. How is the weather in Atlanta? How's life over in that side? Well, you're not that far. You're probably like 7 hours from me.
Yeah, it's hot, man, but I'm sure it's hotter in Florida. It's hot, but it goes up and down here too. So,
Right.
yeah.
And do you find what is it like been riding in Atlanta in the summertime? And I don't know how much street riding you do. We'll probably get into that.
Yeah, I actually stopped street riding like 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have to talk about that a little bit more. So let's talk about how you got into riding, and what's your journey been like up until this point. Did you start out on a little PW like some of the kids, or you had to get a paper route like some of the other kids to buy a bike?
Yeah, man, I wish it was that young. I started off my parents were I'm from an Indian household, and they two-wheelers are huge, but we didn't have any in the US, and he never wanted me to get a bike, so I had to save up money and wasn't making much money in my 20s. So at 25 I finally got a Gixxer 600. That was my first bike.
Got you. Um, and what was the thing though that got you into into riding, and were you just a fan of it, seeing them, whether watching AMA or just street riders, a friend of yours? How did that happen?
Friend of mine, I didn't know anything about racing or anything like that before, and it was a friend named Eli, man. He was a close friend, and we used to hang out a lot, and I would just see his bike. I love the sound of that Gixxer. He had a short can on it,
Hmm.
and he started up and rev it a little bit, and I'd just be like, man, this is so cool. And so one day he was like, I got a second bike, just come ride it. Just come ride it at my house. You can ride it around. So I rode it, and I was like, this thing is a jet. It's so freaking fast that I have to get one. And I couldn't believe the price is so cheap, for something that fast. So that's kind of what got me into it, yeah.
And were you nervous at first, 'cause riding when you first got on? Because I remember, like, I got my license a while ago, but I didn't really ride. And I remember on my way to go pick up my first bike, and I saw this guy on a BMW 1000 S1000 RR, and he's probably doing like 85, 90 with like one hand just hanging on the tank and other hand on the gas. And I'm sitting here like, wow, am I gonna be able to do that one day? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I was a little bit more nervous getting on a bike at first. So what was that like? Was it just kind of like just a no brainer for you?
Yeah, it was kind of second nature to me, I will say. Street riding, that is, just came pretty easy. I already knew how to operate like a clutch, and just from India, I guess, from riding as a young kid. But yeah, it came pretty easy, but I was always also self-aware. Like
Right.
I never would just sit there and like sit at a stoplight. I'd always be looking in my rear. And if someone was approaching fast, I'd almost like always just try to keep it in first, if that's
Gotcha.
the case. If I'm seeing someone. So I didn't want to get hit,
Right.
super aware on, cross sections and stuff like that.
Okay. And then, how did you get into the track side of things? It was that relatively, pretty much after you started riding, or it took you a little bit?
Yeah, so my buddy Eli, I'll share the story. Like we went to the mountains a month into me owning that 600, and he was like, he stopped me at the bottom. He said, "Don't go fast here. These curves are crazy." We started going around the curves, and I just thought it was super easy. It didn't feel any difficult, any more curvy than what I'm used to. But then we hit the real part of the mountain, and the first left-hander. If anyone knows Blood Mountain, it's in Dahlonega. There's this one first left-hander going up there that's really blind and sharp, and that's exactly where my bike flew off the cliff and down this hill, and total right away, and that was the end of that bike. So
Right.
uh, and then within a month later I had another bike, and I started going back to the mountains, and eventually I found this guy. And mind you, Eli, he would sit dead center on the bike, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what hanging off or dragging knee meant, or did. So I saw this guy dragging knee up the mountain, and I went up and got to talk to him at the end. I was just so I was like so amazed by what I was seeing, right? So he said he's been going to the track for 4 years, and that opened my eyes up to the track. And so I didn't even know that existed, to be honest. So
Got you. And was that an easy, not transition, but was it easy for you to think to do? Because I assume you had to figure out, all right, well, I need to get different gear for the track, and I don't know if you were running tire warmers when you first started doing track days and stuff. Because for me, I I got my license and started racing. I didn't do a lot of track days. You could say the day that I got my license was my track day, but after that I just started racing, and I think I raced for like probably easily 5 years before
Wow.
I did a track day. So 2019 was my first track day, and I started racing in
Wow.
2013. So it was a lot of things I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't know because I didn't do track riding.
Yeah.
So yeah. So how was that for you? Getting everything together.
Yeah, no, didn't have too much money at the time, so I was like buying used on everything. I bought a bunch of new gear for sure, but a lot of stuff I was getting used. I bought my first tracksuit used. And then I had a great friend named Bean, who's still a good buddy to me, and he was the coach with STT. So he would come pick me up in his, F-250 trailer and everything, and pack up, and we'd go. And that's how I started getting going. So
Right.
I didn't have a vehicle to go. So
Right. Yeah, what was that? What was like your first weekend there like? Because it's like a whole different world. Like for me, it was when I got there because I didn't really know it existed. It all kind of happened fast. My buddy's like, "Hey, buy my race bike and come racing," and I was just like, "Okay," and showed up, and then it's pretty much a wonderful community. When you go to the racetrack, regardless track day or at the or racing.
yeah. No, that's exactly it, man. The community aspect hit me right away. I mean, the people are just so giving and warm, and they'll share anything that you need that they have. And right away, I mean, I love the structure of it, the organized feel of it. Sessions go out every session. Again, this isn't a race, but I love the coaching of it. Everything just came really well, and I didn't know what to expect, but I was very impressed.
Right. And you mentioned coaching. So how long have you been coaching? And did you, started racing and then coach? You were coaching and you were doing a lot of track days and then say, okay, let me try, to pass on the inside more often since we can't do it that much in a track day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I got my first bike. Now I remember it was in 2013. So I got my first bike in 2013, and I hit my first track in 2015. So about a year of street riding. Hit my first track in 2015, and I just did one track day that year. 2016, I got a nicer track bike, and it was an R6. That's when I immediately started going faster, and I became a coach the end of that year. Yeah,
Okay.
end of 2016.
And how's that been coaching folks? Are you seeing people who you've coached, back in 2016, 17 now, and they're pretty quick and they're thanking you for everything?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen students that became coaches,
Okay. Wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So the same thing for me, right? I was once being coached by Bean, and he got me into coaching, so he made me a coach. And then yeah, it's been really rewarding. I was telling you earlier about this before, but when you coach, you kind of share something that's in your head, so you have to really word it right.
Right.
And when you do that, you almost reform you're thinking about this whole concept of, like, say, entering an apex or entering a corner and hitting the apex properly and then driving out. Where are you putting the weight on your foot? And where's, all these questions students are going to ask you. And sometimes you haven't even thought of that yourself, right? So when you think about it, it becomes more clear, more conscious, and I feel like the thought becomes solidified in your head.
So
So I enjoy it.
coaching in some ways also improved you as a writer from just reiterating just the fundamentals and structure.
100%. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And when did you start racing?
2017, I did like my one race. I did just a race here and there. And then around 2021, I did a full novice season.
Okay,
And then that got me the expert bump
gotcha.
at the end of that season.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the club you were racing at, what was that like? And you know,
Yeah. So it was called Wira. You're
yeah,
familiar with them, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little familiar with them.
Yeah. Wira, it's just, I just found out it stands for Western Eastern Racing Association.
Oh wow,
So,
okay. So I
yeah.
have a license with them, and I haven't made it to one of the races yet. So I'm hoping to next year. That's the plan for next year is to race. We'll do some races with them. I started doing the Pan American Series when I moved down here. Yeah. So how has that been? How was it in the novice class, and how is the competition? Well, how was the competition as far as like because you got bumped up pretty quick? It was just because you were just got up the pace really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was doing one-off races up until 2020, so I did have pace, and I always had. I think I was always kind of caught on to things quickly with speed.
Right.
Um, never the fastest, right? But I did catch on pretty quick. And in 2020, yeah, what was that like? I would say, it's the 600 class in Wira or any race org is kind of like they call it the meat grinder class
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
because there's so many people in there with new bikes, old bikes, fast, slow, everyone.
Right.
You get laps sometimes with older, whatever. So it was interesting, man. It was chaos, but I placed top five. I think I got third in this year. So anyone that's top five gets an opportunity to go expert. And
Okay.
I was like, I took it because I'm a firm believer that your surrounding shapes you, right? So I'd rather be the slowest guy in a fast pack than the fastest guy in a slow pack. You're gonna learn more, right?
Right,
So
right. And so what's that been like, that learning process? Now you also do YouTube as well, and I see you talk about your racing in the videos and stuff like that. Now with the training and all that, what is your mindset like in a race? Because just listening to you explain what's going on, it seems like you're pretty patient out there.
yeah, it's I am patient, but I go in definitely. There's a killer mindset switch that kicks in when I do go into the race, and it happens only when the green flag goes.
Right, right.
It doesn't happen in qualifying. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. Sorry, and not meant like going slow patient or anything like that. Meaning just like you from from what you're saying, you're taking your time to where you pass. You're passing in the right places, or you're waiting to get up to speed as far as catching the next rider and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely you do have to be patient and pace yourself because you make mistakes trying to rush. And I used to do that initially because I would just switch on and try to go. But yeah, it definitely racing teaches you a lot about that and pacing yourself and strategy. Because you might have 3 laps left and you and the guy in front are similar paced. So I
Right.
become more patient over time, and you got to be aware of where the opportunity will strike. And initially, when you race, you kind of just want to get in front of the person and go. But once you race enough,
Right.
you now get to this place of like in the zone. We all get in that zone feeling where just things just start to flow. And then I can see the next rider and know where his weak point can be now.
Okay.
And so I'm going to strike the next lap. So you do carry some patience, of course. Yeah.
And when does getting in the zone start for you? And do you have the same routines, or do you kind of it's all over the place? I try to have routines, but I tend to depends how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
So like when do you get in the zone? Is it like when you're packing up, when you're registering for races and stuff like that? Where does it start for you?
No, no, I'm talking like in the zone while racing. It's the flow state you hit.
Yep.
It happens, usually a lap or two in.
Okay, got you,
When
got you. Yeah,
once you got that initial start and all the craziness happening goes out the window
right.
and you're flowing, yeah, that zone is like when you don't have to think about what you got to do next. It just comes.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that's something that well, I'm trying to think. That did it come natural for you to get to a pace a couple of laps in where you can just realize like, all right, shut down, just go, or was that something that that came over time?
Yeah, it did come over time. I'm a guy that always reviews his mistakes. I improve from them. So when I would look back on races that I did, I'd always record them. And I'd be like, I made a mistake here because I was rushing to get that guy right there, but I could have waited because there's still 3 more laps. So why'd I do that? So I'd go back and understand, analyze, and debrief, and that's where I gain patience from that. I don't want to mess up and lose the race over one corner, right?
Right, right. That yeah,
Yeah.
that happens for sure. Now, what advice would you give to new riders that are trying to get into racing?
Into racing. So I would say, I mean, there's an opportunity out there called track days, which people didn't have 20 years ago. They didn't even exist.
Right,
Organizations didn't exist. So I would say try a track day or two before, step in a race. And nothing wrong with going racing if you have that ability a little bit. You've been to
right.
the mountains or something, but I would say you're going to learn a good bit. And track days is probably a little cheaper too. And you're going to get more freedom and not so rushed. So yeah, that's my advice.
Okay. And now, what kind of training do you do to stay in shape to race? And like, how many races are you doing in a weekend?
Yeah, I do like 3 to 5 races in a weekend, and my training leading up to that is just I do cardio, 45-minute sessions at a time. I do that 3 or 4 times a week, and then I do weights on other days. I do like some neck training to strengthen my neck. I got an iron neck as this thing, as this device, and I do like backwards, forward neck movements and with weight. So, I mean, I feel like that's like what keeps your brain and everything stable in a crash.
Right.
That, and then I train grip strength. Like there's 3 aspects to grip strength. There's crushing strength with your hand. There's the fingertip strength, so I do fingertip push-ups, and then there's holding strength.
Okay.
So just being able to like
Hold
carry a kettlebell up and down. Yeah, well, all that, you combine all that, it does take load off your shoulders, off your arms, and arm pump and stuff
Right.
in the race.
Gotcha.
So
Speaking of arms and arm pumps, we were talking earlier. You'd mentioned you'd lost a lot of weight, so just so you can go a little faster.
yeah. So in 2021, I did that novice season, a little bit more races. That got me that bump to expert for 22. But I noticed I was 250, I was 215 pounds, and now I'm 180. And so I would race people, and my strength was breaking. So that's how I would make up time.
Right.
But because of the weight, I'm racing guys that are 140 pounds, 130 pounds, and they would just dust me on the straight. So I had to do what I could, and I'm 6'2", so weight I can only shed down so much.
Right.
So in September of 21, I till January, it took me about 4 or 5 months. I lost 35 pounds in that season.
Wow. And how much of a difference did that make? I mean, do you recall what your times were before?
Yeah.
And then after the weight loss?
Huge, man, huge difference. For example, Barber Motorsports, my best was a 34.5 or something. And then the next time I raced there, I already was hitting like a 31 or 32.
Wow.
With no difference. It's just the weight and a bike. I did change bikes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, do you measure how much fuel you keep in your bike when you race, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the fuel drain hose my mechanic put into it. So every end of a race, we'll drain it, measure it, and then we'll see how much we used.
Got you. And it built motor.
Yeah. It's a super stock motor, so it's like a thin head gasket.
Yep.
Degreed cams, I think, but that's it. We're illegal, basically.
Got you. And what about the fuel?
Fuel, I run pump most of the time, but in the race, I'll run like U4 or MR12 sometimes if it's like a longer track.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
And do you notice much of a difference as far as like the performance with the gas? I know on the small, I run a KTM RC390, and guys will put race fuel in their Ninja 300s, and I can't catch them on the straight. They're just pulling. But I haven't tried race fuel yet.
For sure it does. It really does. And anyone that says it is lying. They're lying for sure. So I would say the pump to U4 you don't notice as much, but MR12 is definitely more responsive, more crispy. Just it's a totally different bike.
Okay, wow. And so you mentioned the mechanic. What's that like, wrenching your bike? And were you doing that at first before you got a mechanic, or because for me, I'm starting to wrench my bike a little bit more these days, out of necessity and savings, and sometimes people don't have time.
Yeah, no, I definitely I do most of my work after the build or whatever. My mechanic's 5 hours away in South Carolina. KWS Motorsports, they're also sponsors, so they're really helpful with everything. And yeah, I do work on my bike now, but I will say to anyone watching, if you guys are getting into racing and everything, keep your bikes clean. Like, wash it, keep it clean. The chain needs to be clean, because one, it's just good to have a clean bike, but two, you can see if any leaks are happening.
Right.
When it's dirty, you don't see anything. It all blends in. So make sure it's clean, man.
Got you. And at the end of the season, what kind of work do you do to get your bike ready for next year? Are you tearing it down to the frame, or just maybe suspension and pieces that need fluids change, like the steering dampener and stuff like that, clutch?
Yeah, clutch. With the Super Sport build, it's pretty reliable, but I still like to go maybe get a dyno done to see if it's still got the same horsepower. But if I didn't have a build, I'd still strip it down, check the spark plugs, change all the coolant, brake fluids, new whatever, right? The basic maintenance.
Wow. And how is the bike? Did you race the bike before you did the super sport build on it, or did you just got it built and then started racing it?
Yeah, so for all the novice season, I did a new Gen R6 is what I was racing.
Right.
But then KWS, the Mike Godin, man, he told me like you're already a taller, bigger guy. Just switch to a ZX6. You're gonna get like 8 more horsepower, right? So for expert in 2022, I did, and I did a few track days before I got it built.
Got you.
Yeah.
And
Anyways.
how different was that for you going from the R6 to the Cowie? For me, I started out on a SV 650, and then I went to an inline four, and it probably took me about a year, the first season, to kind of just get up to speed on the inline four.
Yeah. Oh wow. No, I mean it wasn't too different. The difference I'd say from R6 to ZX6 is that the it handles differently. It chatters more. You really got to get a dialed in setup, and it takes a lot. And you need to know the right suspension guy to get that geometry set up right. But it was a huge difference because I lost 35 pounds. I got on a faster bike to begin with, and it had a super sport build. So all that combined, I mean, I was breaking PRs right away.
Nice, nice. And what are you running for suspension?
I was running K-Tech. I just switched to Olin's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did notice the difference?
No, I mean, I was planning to do some Moto America. I do notice a difference. I'll be honest. Yeah, the chatter is less. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. But I don't know if that's again the spring rates or internal valving. So many things, right? But I think K-Tech's very on par with Olin's.
Right, right.
But the reason why I switched was I was planning to do some Moto America rounds, and the suspension guy was like, "Look, they just have bigger setups there for Olin's, more support. K-Tech's a little bit smaller support there, so that's why I switched. Yeah.
Okay, wow. And you're gonna do that this year, Motor America?
No, I was planning to. I kind of bailed on it due to business stuff. But I'm probably gonna do it next year.
Okay. And in the super sport class?
Yeah, super sport class. Man, they're changing rules, so I don't know. We got to play it by ear. They're making R6s get like expensive heads and all sorts of electronics next year, I think. So I was actually just chatting with a group I'm in with all these fast guys, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So I don't know. May switch to a stock 1000 class. I don't know.
Okay. Wow. And would you race a R6 in Motor America or Cowie?
Cowie for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Nice. Someone else I was talking to is hoping to do some Motor America races as well in the stock 1000. I think I'm like a few years away. I'm trying to maybe do some in the twin class.
Yeah.
So probably next year I might do a RS 660. And then just try to get comfortable with that next year, and then maybe the year after. Have you done any Motor America races before?
No, I haven't. No, no. I've only pitted for a couple guys, and but I feel like I have the pace. And my personal opinion, for me, this is just my opinion, is I would only go to Moto America when I feel like the competition isn't elevating me in club racing anymore.
Got you.
Yeah, so there's just so much more involved in Moto America, professional,
Right, right. So we had Eli Block on, and I don't know if this happens to you, but he was talking about it's because he does club racing and also Motor America, and he's like it's hard to club race because chances that he wouldn't take in the club, he has to take in Motor America. So switching his brain on and off, it's kind of like he's like the club racing part is he has to not necessarily ride more cautious, but it's club racing. So it's
yeah. Well, he's a professional, right? So for him to step down, it's like we're amateurs, and we got work to do. We got families and stuff. So coming back with that mindset, sometimes we get lost in the sauce, and we're like, we get fast enough to where we're competitive, and then we're like, do I go pro? Do I not go pro? And it's just you gotta watch yourself too sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it depends where are you in life. I mean, I think if you're in my case, it's just I'd like to do one round. It'd be nice to do one round. I'm not, but if you're young enough and can get away with doing a bunch of rounds, and you only live once, so if you can get everything lined up, it's very expensive for sure. But if you can get everything lined up, you at least got to try.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So now to stay sharp, how much riding are you doing these days? Do you find that you're at the track every weekend, a few times a month? What's that like to keep your pace and stay fast?
Yeah, I mean, I work out, but as far as seat time, for sure, it's track riding, track days. But again, track days, there's, sometimes you encounter traffic. So even there, you don't get to fully push. So I just try to club race as much as I can, and otherwise I'm doing track days to keep up the speed.
Got you. So like a couple of times a month, or
Yeah, yeah, at least a couple times.
wow, wow, that's
Yeah,
that's a good amount, man.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and what is the track day season like there? How many rounds do you guys have of track day weekends?
We got a lot, man. I don't do all of them. I've never been to Roebling. I will say there's like a certain aura around it. There's sometimes people say there's no runoffs there, and it's really fast. I think the average speed is 135 miles an hour. The average,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
around
yeah,
the
yeah,
track. So
yeah.
that's insane. And if the runoffs on top of that aren't good, and I don't know, I guess it's a risk reward. I'm probably gonna go do a track day there, but never just it never drew me there, I'd say.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
yeah, as far as rounds go, there's a few rounds. I mean, there's
yeah.
enough.
I was just there last weekend. I mean, I'm on RC. But well, again, I mean, if you're on 1,000, it's a little bit different. Obviously, you're getting up to speed. I'm probably getting maybe 110 on the straight. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But it's been pretty good. So it's a fun little track. So not that bad.
Even 110 though, your average speed's still higher than any track you go to, I bet. You know, even on that bike.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Daytona,
Oh yeah, that's right. You're in
so,
Florida. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's different.
so that's a whole different thing. I don't know if you've got a chance to go to Daytona yet.
Uh,
If you can, you got to. It's some will say it's boring because there's not a lot of turns, but you're flat out for a long time. you know.
yeah. Y'all
And
do the same course as the 200?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
That's a fun course. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. So CCS Azra, they go at the end of the year in October. So every October. So it is a fun track. And like I was like top of 6 on my R6 is insane, and G-force pushing you down like it's crazy.
I got to do it, man. I got to do it one time for sure.
So awesome, man. You let's shout out some of your sponsors and the track day organization that you work with.
Yeah, man. I don't have too many sponsors right now, but I do have a few. It's KWS Motorsports. It's Plus Racing Suits. They've been great to work with. Thermospan Suspensions always helps me out. Always hooks me up. And I think that's about Pirelli. Always takes care of me. James Bach, he's super cool. So if you want some sticky ickies, hit him up. But besides that, yeah, it's all me, man. Self-funded mostly.
Got you. That's what's up, man. Same here. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
For sure, man. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
My name is Rex. This is Rohan. Peace.